So, well, and also, like I mentioned before, I'm not a business broker yet, so I don't. Is it appropriate in this venue to talk at all specifically about EXP, or is that for something else?
No, you can ask about EXP. I mean,
I just be
we'll answer what we can.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've been doing business lending in different capacities, really kind of on and off since 2010. Somewhere along the way, I have had my real estate license, and I never really anything with it when I was in Illinois. I'm in Arizona now. Um, and so, I'm as familiar with kind of the M&A and buying and selling space as you could be without actively doing it. Um, and I just feel like I want to do something different, and I feel like my connections, my skill sets, my knowledge base, I'm kind of like a marketing savvy salesperson who happens to have been in financial services, and I understand SBA lending very well, which I think gives me a pretty strong advantage as a business broker. So I'm pretty well rounded in that way. Um, and so I'm trying to figure out where, like where to do it. And what I really like about EXP Commercial as one example is that, as far as I understand, it's the only national company that has both commercial real estate and business brokerage together.
Mhm.
And I like the idea of both. I'm kind of more interested in helping business owners sell their businesses and possibly do some buy side with retainer, but that's a whole other topic. Um, so I guess what I would ask you is the business brokerage side of EXP from like a corporate support standpoint, as because the website doesn't have very much about it. Are they really as serious about and like have the same resources as Sunbelt or Transworld or any of these other ones, or maybe even more? Because I know EXP is very innovative, very cutting edge on a lot of things. But like, um, am I right that it's probably the only company that has both sides of the house, so that's an advantage? And are there like some pros and cons to that versus other major bro? Because I'm leaning toward EXP, but heavily. I just want to kind of get a little bit knocked over the other side of the fence.
Could I answer some of that, Tanya,
Yeah, go ahead,
from
Jake.
my perspective?
Yeah.
I'm a little like you. Of course, I've got a lot more gray hair.
I don't know
But
about that.
yeah, but so I'm a late bloomer when it comes to business brokering, and I come out of the business ownership world. I was an entrepreneur, owned a lot of different businesses. So I looked around. And the reason I liked EXP was because it was virtual, number one, and I could work out of the house. I didn't have to go into an office and it wasn't brick and mortar. I mean, you can do that with most of them, I suspect, to some degree. But they had training and then, so forth. I wasn't especially interested in selling buildings, which I can do, which I've done through XB because it's quicker and slick. If you're in the real estate side, you know what I mean. In business brokering, it takes forever to sell a business, but they have the insurance in place. So they have this E&O insurance, which that's important. And if you go out and try to buy that on your own, it's pretty expensive. It's almost as much as your fee would be, your tech fee for being in EXP. So to me, uh, I can say I'm involved. I'm a single operator working out of my basement, basically. But we operate in 20 countries. We've got associates all over the world. And we've got resources all over the world. We've got $1 billion company, give or take, whatever the stock market values it at, behind us. I think that's worth something. To me, it is. And if I tell that to a potential seller, I think that means something to them too, don't you? Anyway, that was kind of my thinking behind it. I had a founder, a partner, who was the managing director of Washington, and I started worked with him. He has since left EXP. He wasn't happy. So not everyone is happy. Not everyone thinks everything's wonderful. I think you see people come and go, but I'm pretty pragmatic about it. I think what there's some downsides. There always are. There's some weaknesses. There always are. But you just have to look at and weigh the pros and the cons haven't outweighed the pros. Let's put it that way.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, I can tell you, in terms of tools and tech, which is, the tools and tech is much stronger on the commercial real estate side. They have CoStar and they have Build Out and they have, other things that are useful. We as business brokers, we don't really, those are not the tools we use, right? So I know they've been trying to negotiate some things with Biz Buy Sell, which we do use. They don't have anything in place with that yet. Biz Buy Sell is also owned by CoStar, as you're probably aware. So tools and tech, I mean, to be honest with you, in California, there's 443,000 real estate licensees. And of that, I don't know how many do, the majority of them obviously are residential. I don't know how many do commercial, but I would say at most there's 1,000 people doing business sales. So when you look at, and so that's California, just licensees. When you look at EXP as a company, they've got 80,000 people on the residential side. You've got maybe 800 to 1,000 EXP Commercial. I don't know what that exact number is right now. And then of those EXP Commercial folks, I would say you're lucky if you have 20 full-time business brokers across the country.
Wow.
So there are a lot of businesses out there to be sold. There's a lot of opportunity. What I like about EXP, and the reason, because I had my own firm for years and still do, but the reason I run all my transactions through EXP is because there's a state broker in every state. I can do businesses. I can partner up with people all over the country. I could do deals all over the country for the most part. And that's not something that I was doing before. Before I was just sticking to Southern California where I was located. Now I'm kind of just all over wherever the deal flow is, it is, and I have a lot more opportunity. So EXP brings that. Your Transworld, Sunbelt, VR, Murphy's, all of those are franchises, and most of them have territories. So most of the time you're limited in terms of where you can advertise and what you can do. And, they have all kinds of, but yeah, the territory thing, is with EXP, you're free to roam the country, right? As Southwest
Okay.
says.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So those are
a
more
little bit
siloed.
different.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
So, but no, tools and tech, probably your Transworld, your Sunbelt and all that, they may have better tools and tech. I don't know. I've never been involved with them. EXP doesn't, they're not going to cater to 20 of us or even 100 of us, because they've got 90,000 people to deal with, or 80 some odd thousand people and so they're going to prioritize resi because that's who's making the most money for them, and they're going to take care of those people. And then they're going to look at commercial, and they're going to get whatever tools and tech and all that commercial needs. And once that's all running like a well-oiled machine, then at some point they'll get to what the business brokers need. They are very serious about, they definitely see that there's a lot of money to be made in business brokerage, and they definitely want a business broker division. However, just, the tools and the tech and everything to get it to where it needs to be, for the most part, I think as business brokers within the EXP, we rely on each other. And most of us, a lot of us have been in the business for a long time. So we try, they do have a great mentor program where if you haven't done 3 transactions, when you join EXP Commercial, first of all, you need to tell them that you want to be a business broker, because there's a whole separate addendum to your independent contractor agreement. They also have you join the IBBA, which is the International Business Broker Association. They have you take some courses, so you have a basic foundation. And then they connect you with a mentor who's going to help you with your first 3 transactions, maybe more. I mean, I've got mentees I've been dealing with for 3 years now who have done a lot more than 3 transactions, but they still want me to oversee some of their paperwork and just kind of help them, walk them through things. So,
Yeah. Okay. No, that makes sense. And I would imagine maybe that's a golden opportunity because the same recruiting model applies to business brokerages, commercial and residential, doesn't it? As far as overrides and all that, or is that different?
yeah, no, it's all the same. You're talking about the rev share?
Yeah, so maybe somebody just needs to blow that up and build, like I know it is a like you said, it's like a funnel, right? With the number of people just that do certain things. But what I like about it too is that I've just heard stories of business brokers that I know. I know a lot of them, and I haven't talked to many of them. I'm kind of immediately went to EXP to find out, but a lot of them get referrals from residential realtors, which was kind of surprising to me because but not really, because sometimes the average person that is out there is like, hey, if it's anything to do with finance, I talk to my CPA, even though if it's nothing to do with them. And if it has anything to do with selling an asset, I talk to a realtor. And they're like, well, not only do I not do commercial, I don't sell businesses, but so I thought, being inside of a network that big gives you a little bit more credibility, but trust to say, hey, I'm a fellow EXP person, but I'm on the commercial side. I don't know. Have you found that you could tap into that network is could never be tapped by 20 people even that's so large, but like have you found that to be a good source of business?
Oh yeah, that's where most of my business comes from is
Well,
EXP residential agents or other commercial agents, referrals, or wealth advisors and other business professionals that I've networked with.
yeah,
But that is one of the first things I tell my mentees is go out to EXP because you have 80,000 residential agents in EXP Realty that are not allowed to sell businesses, right? They're
right.
prohibited from selling businesses. So they are required to refer it. And so I tell all my mentees, go out to EXP Realty, put in your zip code or put in all the zip codes around you, get a list of those names and send out introduction. Hey, I'm with EXP Commercial. I sell businesses. I'd love to have coffee with you or whatever. If you come across a business owner that needs to sell, I'm happy to pay referral fees. Yeah, you set
And
that
since they're
network up
licensed,
right
they can
away.
take a referral fee compliantly. Yep.
Yep.
Awesome. All right, cool. I don't need to
Yeah.
take any more of anybody else's time. You guys all answered my question very well, and I really appreciate that.
Of course. All right.
There is one other comment, Dan, that I'd like to follow on with that. Years ago, when I did have a lot of black hair, and I was probably in my 20s, I tried to get into commercial real estate before anything. And I just remember walking into Colliers or one of these big, I was in Seattle at the time. I live there now, but I had returned. And for some reason, I mean, they were so unfriendly. I was a college graduate. I even had a master's degree, and they were not impressed at all. And they made me feel like I was the smallest man in the room. Um, One thing I've learned about business brokerage is that we share, we talk. It's not a closed little group like the commercial real estate guys are really still that way. There's still a bunch of uh, their nose are high in the air. So I think if you're in enter commercial real estate, EXP is a better format for that than trying to go to one of these big companies. They do have their CCIMs and CIIM. What is it?
Yeah,
CCIM?
it's a CCIM.
Yeah. It's like a doctorate, right? In real estate, and they've got those things. I have the OJT. I have on the job training, and that's what I put behind my name. But anyway, I just say that to say that it's a much open society here. Tanya will come every week or every other week and tell us everything. We ask her questions, she answers. And she doesn't have an axe to grind. She really doesn't. I know her. And that's not maybe that's because of Tanya, really, but uh, it's a much more sharing group, much more friendly group, you'll find, I think. And so, for whatever that's worth, Dan, I would say that Business brokerage is that way. It's a tough job too, by the way. I mean, being a business brokerage is not for the weak-minded.
Right.
But it is great for people who love creative problem solving.
That's a way to put it. Yeah, you're right. And
Yeah.
you have to like people a little bit too. In real estate, I mean, you look at the building, you look at the foundation, you look at the roof, you look at the deferred maintenance, and it's pretty straightforward. When you go into a business, it's definitely not straightforward. Nothing straightforward about it.
Yep, absolutely.